I have two special guests with me. First, I'd like to introduce our co-host for today, Karen Duyella. Hello, Karen.
Hi.
Would you mind giving us a little bit of an intro about yourself?
Oh, well, I wasn't expecting that. I'm Karen, and I'm one of the co-founders, owners, directors of SkillsHub, which is very exciting. And I'm Jennifer Hale's sister, so I've been along the whole VO ride with her, her entire career. So that's been fun. And let's see, in my spare time, I have my master's degree in sociology and I studied dementia, palliative care, and end of life. So if we want to go there, that's my sweet spot.
If we go there, something's gone wrong with
Yeah.
this whole thing.
And today we will be interviewing Brook Chalmers. Hello, Brook.
Hello.
And would you mind giving us a little bit of an intro about yourself?
Hi, Brook Chalmers, voice actor, voice director, coach here on SkillsHub. Been doing this a little over a quarter of a century now. So, yeah. Um, Directing anime and prelay animation and video games and acting and all of the above. So, glad to be here.
Yay, we're
That's,
glad to have you.
can you tell me what prelay animation is?
Yes. So, prelay animation is when the actors are recording before anything's been drawn.
Okay.
It's basically pre-layout animation would be the full part. So that means that the actors are setting the tone and the animators are drawing to the performance.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
there it is. See, we've already learned something.
Yeah.
Right.
I gotta write that down.
There you go.
That's cool.
So, before we delve into the multitude of questions that I have for you, let's start about a little bit about your origin story. So, what drew you to voiceover?
Oh my gosh, it was weird fate. My entire teenage life was built to go into the military. I wanted to go into the Air Force. I wanted to be a pilot, but I found out I was too tall to be a fighter pilot. So, and my grades in high school were I floated through. So, um, but I still wanted to go in. And, but I had always mimicked voices, right, and done stuff like that, but I never really thought anything of it. And then I got into, and I was in choir my senior year of high school, and I got into theater and the musical we were doing. And I'm like, "Oh, this is kind of cool," but once again, it wasn't enough. I was still going in the military, and then I ended up getting into a play after high school. After I'd sort of like, I'd signed up with the Air Force. I'd like, and I was like, I don't know, 2 3 weeks away from going to do my physical, but I ended up helping my friend with this play, and it was like the muse of the universe came down and said, "No, do this instead." And I pivoted and called the recruiter the next day. It was like, "Yeah, I'm out," and there it was. And then
Wow.
that was in Northern California, and then I quickly realized there was no industry for what I wanted to do there. And so I moved down here 1997, June 1st, 97. And then June 1st, 2000, I got my first voiceover job.
Oh,
So 3 years to the day. It was weird. And that was the Mummy Get video game for the
Wow.
PS1. Yes. So
Oh, that's so cool.
there it is. Yeah. So that's the quick origin story.
did you
What?
play video games? Do you mind me interrupting? Sorry.
No, you're good.
Wait,
No.
interrupt to talk about video games? Why, go on.
I know
uh,
it's the wrong audience. It's the wrong
All
audience.
right. So, yes, I do play video games. Before I kind of did all this, when I moved down here, I was working for a company called Software Etc., which became GameStop, which we all
Oh,
know now.
yeah.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so I actually managed a GameStop for 12 years,
Wow.
between Electronic Boutique and GameStop. So I have been surrounded by video games my entire life, ever since I was a little kid. And yes, I'm still an avid gamer, much to my wife's chagrin. But now that I have children, they play video games too. So
Okay.
yes,
That's just a common language.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's our love language. Yes,
I
What are you
tried
playing
video
now?
games for a while.
you
Yeah,
got to
I
play
can.
them. They're good.
But the ones my boys were playing, my sister was in, and I didn't want to
Oh.
hear her yelling at me
Well,
in my
I
time off.
full transparency. My favorite trilogy of games of all time are Mass Effect. So,
Oh,
so yeah, I lived with Jennifer's voice in my ears for many a time.
oh, that's
Currently, I'm playing Blueprints. I think everyone is playing. If you're not playing Blueprints on
fun.
Steam, it's the best. It's a cool puzzle game. But I play that. I like to play
Ooh.
RPGs, big story kind of type games. I play games more for story than anything, so I don't really play multiplayer online games because I'm not competitive. I don't want like a 14-year-old kid in Tennessee screaming at me because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I tend to go for more of the single player experience.
Cool.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah, I've been on and off with Genshin. I tried it, and then it's too open world for me. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So,
It doesn't
just-
matter. You do what you do.
yeah, just
Yeah.
putz around and hope
Play
for
it.
the best.
It's free. It's free. It's free.
It's free, yeah.
Free. Yeah.
So I did recently notice on you made a post about City the animation where
Yeah.
you have a rollout, but you were also a director. Now I have a
Yes.
clarification question before I have a question.
Yes.
Were you mentioned that were you the director and the actor during that experience, or were you directed by somebody else during your performance when you were in the booth as an actor?
Oh yeah. No, there. We have 3 directors on it, and so when I go in to act, one of the other directors is directing me.
Okay.
I could direct myself, but I always say it's funny. The director and actor halves of your brain
Yeah.
like to do this, and
That's
so
what it, yeah.
yeah. So when I'm in there, yeah, there's almost something liberating when I can click the actor brain on and just have someone else tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And go from there. It's difficult. I was on an anime a long time ago called Eden Zero, what I was directing, and then I would get parts in that, and then I would go in and direct myself, and then the engineer was almost like a half director with me, because they'd be like, "Oh yeah, that fit," but hey, maybe try this. I'm like, "Oh, good idea." And then so, but I obviously prefer to have someone actively directing me. I just feel that collaboration sometimes creates
Yeah.
a lot more different fun takes that I might not normally just think about in the booth myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Because as a
Though they
director,
s-
as a director, do
No,
you
good.
have it in your head already the way you kind of want it to sound? And so when you go in as the actor and director, do you kind of box yourself in?
That's a good one.
I'm a very collaborative director, so while I may have a very broad stroke of what I want in a scene, I don't marry myself to it because I want the actor to give me what they want, and
Yeah.
then I always say that that I bring the actor brings the foundation, and then together we build a house. And so, yeah, I'm not very rigid that way, right? Because I find that if it's my way or the highway, and that's the only thing I want as an actor, it's very tough for them. It's not very fulfilling
Yeah.
because they don't feel like they're kind of a part of the creative process.
Yeah.
And so for me, I like it to be a conversation where I'll give context and be like, yeah, this is what I'm thinking here. And then I trust the actor and their tool belt, right, to give me something, and then we kind of work from there. And sometimes some of my favorite takes are ones that actors give me I wasn't expecting at all. And I'm like, oh, that's really good. Let's explore that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, well, it'd be so freeing as an
I think so.
actor, right? To
Yeah.
really know that somebody's actually open to what your performance.
Yeah, well, that was my whole goal, was because I acted before I directed. I never really thought I was going to direct. I just once again, the universe was like, hey, try this. But I think my whole sort of rubric to be a director was be the kind of director you'd want to work with.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I did. So.
I'm gonna pop in a good question from the chat. When
Yes.
self-directing, how do you get yourself to the performance you want, especially if sometimes stepping away doesn't work?
That's tricky because stepping away should work, right? Okay, here's the thing. if stepping away doesn't work, it might mean that whatever your instinct was for the character isn't right, and your
Mm.
brain is trying to tell you something, right? And you're like, why isn't this working? And it's like, well, you might be trying to cram a square peg into a round hole, right? So if
Yeah.
that's the case, if stepping away isn't buying what you want, then you have to readjust. Okay, whatever that was, that's not it, right? Let me now come up with something completely different that still matches the spec of the character. It could be a minor tweak, like, oh, you know what? I made him too old, too young, too gravelly, too whatever. And then it's a process, and then you just have to keep tweaking.
Yeah.
But that if you step away and you come back and none of it sounds right to you, that's your director brain telling you that, okay, then none of that was in the pocket.
Right.
And then you rinse and repeat. Well, not repeat, rinse and change, if that's now a term.
Switch it up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Shake
exactly.
it off. Switch it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Good question, though.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel that being on both sides, being both director and actor, has made you be a better actor, and vice versa, being a better director? Do you feel like being on both sides, although sometimes they do clash, does it help in some ways?
I think it helps a huge amount, because it's the communication,
Yeah.
right? I know, being the actor, I know how I want a director to talk to me, and then because of that, as a director, I know how to talk to the actor, right? There's lingo, right? As an actor, like a director kind of needs to know what to say to an actor to get something, right? Because remember, as a director, our last line of defense is the line read. You want to try to avoid it as much as possible, and if you're getting to a line read, that means something broke down in communication, right? And so you're sort of always like doing things to avoid that, and that's the big communication piece of this. And I think being on both sides of the glass, understanding acting and understanding directing, it helps both ways, because then also as an actor, you can then that I've directed, if I hear a director trying to tell me something, I can sort of like, oh, okay, I know what they're getting at.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely complementary skill sets, even though they do this internally.
And I also did some background research. I noticed that you have
no.
a background in television production. Do you think that helped shape your approach to voice acting or directing, or both?
Yeah, so I went to Cal State. Yeah, this is a part of the story of just go where the wind takes you. I was working in retail, and I was miserable because selling video games, while I loved video games, it's still corporate, and it was,
Right.
it is what it is. So I went to Cal State Northridge, and I majored in live action television production with an emphasis on directing and writing. And I ended up in animation. So like I weirdly didn't use my major because I didn't go into live action, but a lot of that did help me, right? The directing piece helped me, because directing people on a set or on stage, it's the same as directing someone in a booth. There's a lot less I have to worry about. I don't have to tell an actor where to stand or what to do with their
Right.
hand, or anything like that. But the intent is still there, right? Why are we doing this? What's your goal? What are you trying to do in the scene? So that I still used. What helped is because I got a job at Cartoon Network as a PA while I was a senior in college. That's what sort of shifted me into the animation path. But that worked, because in animation, I was on production. I was a PA and a coordinator. And so you're dealing like with people giving you storyboards, and they've got camera shots and angles. So a lot of it, the basics are the same in the medium. But that was the thing, the wind blew me to animation. I could have been like, no, I'm going to make TV shows or something. And then I wouldn't be where I am now. Because if I hadn't have gone into animation, I wouldn't have gotten into directing. It's a whole, so.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. The many facets.
I
Where the
kind of
wind
hear,
takes you and just go with the flow.
I
well,
I
and,
think so.
and I kind of hear throughout the theme for me throughout what you're saying is really around trusting yourself and being confident.
Yeah.
Like wherever
Mm-hmm.
you land, whatever decision you make, like just trust it and character, direction, whatever, right? Like if it's in
Mm-hmm.
your head, really the problem comes when you're fighting what's in,
Right.
or not guaranteed, but you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
if you can't trust yourself, you're in trouble. But also, there's a path to getting to trust yourself, and
Mm.
that comes with skill and time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like all of us starting out like in VO. I mean, it's like you're nervous when you go in the booth, and it doesn't matter like whether it's uh, imposter syndrome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're like, oh, I that must have tricked them. I don't belong here, right? I mean, I still, having done this for so long, I still get nervous if I book a new directing job. I am like an anxious wreck the very first day. It just never goes away, and then it's like
Yeah.
it's that fear of the unknown. I think we all just sort of live in. Um, but then it's like, once you get used to a process, then you smooth out and even up. But yeah, even sometimes, yeah, even like VO not as much. I think I've done it to a point where unless it's like a big thing and it's like maybe a director I'm like nervous to work with or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. But for them, that went away. But that was like years of VO anxiety where you're going in
Yeah.
and you're so deathly afraid, like every flub, you're like, oh, they're gonna fire me, they're gonna get rid of me, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough,
Yeah. Yeah. We need to hear
Oh
that.
yeah.
yeah,
That it,
Oh yeah.
just, yeah.
it exists, and I guess it's how do you embrace that and how do you
Mm-hmm.
turn that into your advantage.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess just not letting it get the best of you is like would be my best advice to that. Like feel it, but don't let it get to the best of you. Don't let it have you trip
Yeah,
up and stuff. Yeah.
I think it's feel it and realize you're not alone in the feeling,
Right.
and
Mm-hmm.
also realizing you're not in that room by mistake. You
Mm-hmm.
were cast.
Mm.
Everyone's there rooting for your success, right? And if they're talking behind the glass about something, it doesn't have anything to do with you usually, right? Just know you belong there. And I think once you realize I'm here because I earned the right to be here, I think that also helps
Mm-hmm.
alleviate a lot of that.
Right. Right. That's a really good point.
That's good.
Somebody in the chat has a coaching question, but I'm going to shift it to this type of question.
All right.
So, how would you describe your coaching style? Do you lean more towards technical, emotional, or intuitive?
Oh my gosh. It kind of depends on what people are grabbing me for.
Mm.
Like if someone's booking me to help them with an audition, it's more like, all right, let me hear what you got. Okay, great. How do we build upon that, right? How do we layer
Yeah.
a performance, right? Because a lot of times, you just need that other ear, right? Instead of baking time in and directing yourself, that I act like yourself in the future, right? So I will, like, oh, go here, do this, or why do you think the character's doing this, right? I think it's, I do truly believe in the give a man a fish, he eats for a day, teach him to fish, he eats for the lifetime. So it's also helping the actor get like, okay, why does the character feel this way? And they'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you. I'm like, awesome, sell that choice to me,
Yeah.
right? That kind of thing. And so there's a lot of intuitiveness because sometimes like it's almost cold directing on my part. I might not have the audition copy until a little bit before our session starts.
Yeah.
Sometimes sometimes I get booked just to like run copy, right? Or someone's just starting out in their career and I'll have them read something and then I'm like, okay, great, I get a nice baseline. All right, well, let's build from here, right? Yeah, so it's kind of nice. There's all different skill levels, right? So I just, I guess a lot of it's kind of all of them: intuitive, technical, emotional. I think you sort of have to use all three. to get
Yeah.
to a place. It's not like that old adage, good, fast, and cheap, but you can only have two of the three. This, you sort of need all three.
And the second part of this person's question was, should you find someone that's a coach with a similar vocal range? Do you think that matters at all?
Not at all.
No.
No, I don't think so. I think that you should find a coach that's working in an industry that you yourself want to go to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obvious. I mean, and this is obvious, but it's like if I want to get into animation, I'm not booking commercial coaches, right? Because they're
Right.
two different things.
Right.
But I don't think it has to necessarily be, well, and that's a trick. I almost think it shouldn't be someone that's in your vocal pocket, because there might be an inclination for them to tell you how to do it how they would do it.
Oh,
Right? And
yeah,
you don't
that's a good point.
necessarily want how they would do it. You want them to tell you how you should do it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and I don't
right.
think it's anything on a coach's side. I just think that might just be a natural inclination.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And then the other part of that person's comment was,
Yeah.
what are important things to look for, and you pretty much covered it. To this commenter, I'm not sure if you're already a SkillsHub member, but all of our coaches, or like 90 plus coaches on SkillsHub.life, are already vetted. And one of the most important things, like Brooke had mentioned, is make sure that they're working in the genre that you want to work in, but also make sure that they are actively working. And everybody that's on SkillsHub.life is already vetted and actively working, such as Brooke.
Yeah.
I am. The problem, and I will be honest, the problem is I might be working too much. So sometimes my avails for coaching are garbage. But I guarantee it's clearing up right now. So, yeah, it's tough. I used to be able to just put times on the calendar, but because my schedule's been so directing is not a set gig.
Right.
Yeah, I have to have people reach out, and then it's like, trust me, if you reach out to me, I will get to you. It's just, sometimes it's job rears its ugly head.
Right. But not a bad problem to have.
It's a very good first world problem, yes.
I'm going to shift the topic from directing a little bit and get into some acting questions.
Mhm.
So, when you get a script for a new character, what is the first thing you look for to spark inspiration?
Ooh.
That's hard.
That is
I love it when
hard.
people
Yeah.
go, "Ooh, that's a good
Well,
one."
yeah, I'm always trying to think meta, right? Like, obviously I'll read like, oh, it's this age and they're this, right? And blah blah blah. But it's like I'm reading the same set of instructions that 500 other people are reading. And so a lot of the times too, I'm like, okay, I know this is what they want, and this is probably what 90% are going to give. What can I try to do differently to bring myself into it? Because obviously 500 other people aren't me, right? And then also what choices can I make that still honor the brief, but I don't think a lot of people are going to make.
Right.
And then I try to organic those choices to make so they don't just feel like a weird arbitrary choice. And then I do a weird thing. Being a D&D player since 1983, I know how to break down a Dungeons and Dragons character. So if it's a bigger character, I will actually build them as a character with stats and everything, because that's how I know how to break a character down. Weirdly enough. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so I will give them a strength score and a dex and this and that and like a backstory. And then that kind of helps marry me to them as well.
So sometimes, when you get an audition, you're either left with like name, age, that's it. And then sometimes you get like a whole 2 pages bucket full of lore. For your personal preference, do you like take that in? Because some people will skim it and then others will like dissect the whole thing if they're given a lot. So
Yeah.
what's your approach to that?
I mean, 2 pages is funny because you'll read a lot of that and very little of it has anything to do with your acting process.
Yeah.
Right? It's like they'll give you like the world and all this and like, yeah, okay, like that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But like you said, on the other hand, they don't give you anything.
Yeah.
Right. And then, I almost think not getting anything is a little more liberating because
I agree.
you are then in charge of crafting the narrative. right? I always say a casting director won't fault you for making a wrong choice, but they will fault you for making no choice. Right? So it's like, if I don't have context and I make a choice and it's wrong, but I sell it, they're going to be like, okay, I know what you're going for here.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, the 2-page one, I mean, read through it, but I think you have to get to a point where you understand what nuggets are in there.
Yeah.
Right? Because it'll be like, blah, 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 they live in this land, and da-da-da-da-da, and this land is, whatever. But then they might have something like, and this land is at war with this other land. Oh, okay. Well, we're in the middle of a war. That flavors someone's attitude. Okay, so there's a little something. Right? And then da-da-da-da-da, well, they're the son of a shopkeeper, or they're the 8th son of 12 shopkeeper kids, and da-da-da. Okay, well, you're the 8th kid. What does that mean? You have to fight to be heard. You have to, whatever, right? You take those little nuggets, right? Will the 8th son ever get called to war? Does he feel confident with the fact that, so there's like little things like that, but it's, 15% of that 2 pages are going to be things that sort of flavor your read, right? And then you can go in, once that you've sort of broken out and highlighted or whatever your process is, the important character bits, then you can start formulating your choices for the lines that are given. But I don't think you can skim, because skimming, there could be like 4 words in the middle of a paragraph of nonsense that you're like, oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
Because God forbid it says like soft-spoken and timid, right? And then you're like, you didn't see that. All of a sudden you're like, come on, everybody, right? And then, yeah. And it's clearly, well, you didn't read it, did you?
Yeah.
So I just always go through it at least once, right? And then it's tough though. I've gotten some that are like 3 or 4 pages, and it's like none of this means anything. My favorite is when they'll be like soft spoken and whatever, which I don't usually get those auditions. I'm not soft spoken, but but then the lines are all like exclamation points and battle yells. You're like, what? Yeah. Oh well, here we go.
Sometimes they throw you for a loop, and you gotta just go with the flow.
Yeah, and always to remember, and I tell this in classes and everything. Always think about why a casting director chose the lines they did, and it's usually because they want to hear different emotional beats all the way through, right? So this might be happy and sad and pensive or whatever. When you go back and listen to them all, if they all sound like they're in the same beat, you've done something wrong. Because they wouldn't. There's no way that a casting director would want to hear the same emotion for 4 different chunks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That makes sense, and that's not how we exist either, right?
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Even a robot, or like these characters I call gray characters, like anime protagonists that are loners and brooding. They still have shades of gray. And it's just finding those.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do another question that's kind of about semi-vocal health. So, when you're either in like an anime or animation session, combat efforts, grunts, or anything like that can be quite challenging, especially for video games, depending on what you get. What's your approach to keeping your voice safe, and also while remaining in character for these efforts and grunts?
Yeah, so there's a lot of communication that needs to occur. Hopefully you have a director that understands that it's stressful and is concerned about your vocal health. And so I always am like, hey, there's going to be a lot of yelling. We'll do a little bit. I'm going to give you as much context as I can. Give me one. If I like it, hey, you know what? We'll move on. Da-da-da-da-da. Sometimes you don't have directors that are like that. They're just trying to, I need to get all of this in 2 hours, blah, blah, blah. Do not be afraid to advocate for yourself. All right? Because if you don't, who else is going to? So if you're in a session too, and you're all of a sudden you're like, oops, starting to feel tickle or whatever, go, hey, can we like just take a 5? Or I just need to go get a tea, or I just need to just rest. Or do some straw phonation, You know, whatever you need to do to kind of loosen those, you're right, to keep going, because the last thing you want to do is blow your voice out, right, and you have a session the next day.
Right.
And so, but you have to communicate, because sometimes the director isn't going to know. Like and I think as actors we tend to be people pleasers, and we don't want to be that person that waves the flag, right? Because it makes us feel like we're deficient in some way, right? But it's like, and also too, I mean, if you find them, there's classes on like creature work or how to use your throat, how to yell, and things like that. Take those. Those are invaluable, right?
Yes.
Because that'll give you longevity, and help you in a way that, you can get through a 2-hour session and bounce back quickly. And not just go in there and like, and then pace yourself too. Don't give, you're giving 100%, and then 20 minutes later, you're like, I got nothing else, So.
And I think that's one of the reasons why voice actors love it when voice actors are also directors, because they have the understanding, like, hey, we've been doing this for a little bit, checking in. How's your voice? Like every voice actor that's been a voice director for me has always been like so nice, so caring, like checking in on your voice. How you doing? You doing good? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Also, call breaks.
They're good.
Call breaks, and also if I know we've got screams, yells, or something, I'll always try to shunt them to the back of the session.
Yeah.
Right, because what good is it too if like I have a bunch of dialogue, but I get these screams at the beginning, and then the rest of the session you're like, I can't, like, oh well, that didn't work. Yeah. So.
I'm gonna throw in one final question from the chat here. I had a question, but I think I know the answer deep down. However, I'll ask anyways. How do you, as a director, handle an actor who's being a bit of a perfectionist?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that is an actor that like is self-directing on the fly, and that usually happens because there's a lack of trust in the room. As an actor, you have to trust the process, right? And if the director's like, ooh, that's amazing, let's go with that, and you're like, oh, but right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Once again, as a collaborative director, if I see an actor doing that, I'll be like, do you have an idea? Yeah, I do. I'm like, you know what? Get it out. Because I know as an actor, if I have an idea and it's in there, I won't sleep that night because it's rattling around. Oh, why didn't I do it? Will I use it? Hard to say. Maybe, maybe not, right? But it's like if I have the time, I'll always entertain an actor's idea, right? Because sometimes I'm like, ooh, you know what? That is actually good. I'll use that. Right? Why leave something on the table? Because also for me, I'm doing a disservice because it could be awesome. Yeah. It also could be a swing and a miss, but at least the actor gets it out of their system. Now if it keeps happening a lot, you're sort of like, okay, well, it's like the actor doesn't trust the director for some reason.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that's a bigger conversation. I haven't really run into that. Usually, like I said, I have actors that are like, oh, can I give you one more? And I'm always like, look at my watch. Yes, you can. Like I said, if I have time, great. If I'm at a pinch, I'll be like, honestly, that one, I loved it. I think it's going to work. And most of the time the actor's like, okay, cool. If you're happy, then good. Yeah.
That is all the questions that I have on my end. Karen, do you have any more questions for our guest?
Only one I had is, if you could meet any character in person, what character would it be?
Character or actor?
Character. And I know there's no warning. People can tell there's no heads up on these questions, so you don't have to answer. Like, I would want to hang out with Snoopy.
I would want to hang out with Gandalf.
Ooh, okay.
Cool.
Yeah,
I think Snorlax.
Well, you want to hang out with something sleeping?
Well, it's big and fluffy, and I would love to see what Snorlax would actually look like.
All right.
Maybe take a nice nap.
So you want to hang out? You just want to hang out with a pillow, is what you're saying? Yeah, we'll get you a Snorlax-shaped really pillow. Cool. I think Gandalf would be cool. He's got stories. He's wise.
It's true. Magic.
He smokes a pipe. I mean, he's just cool on all levels.
Darn, yeah, it's kind of cool.
So Karen's answer is Snoopy.
Yeah. I want to hang out with a
Snoopy's
puppy
cute.
dog. Maybe.
Would it be Snoopy with Woodstock or Snoopy
Oh,
sans Woodstock?
No, it has to be with Woodstock.
Okay, all right.
Has to be. Yeah.
You get the twofer.
Or Oscar. Oscar the Grouch is really my hero.
Oh, well.
You know, but that one could actually happen because Oscar's real, you know.
True.
Well, yes. Go to Knott's Berry Farm. Snoopy's real too.
Oh,
I'm getting. I want it. I don't know what I want. I guess I don't play enough to like. You know, it might be this one. Now I'm going Snorlax. Never mind. Final answer.
Final answer, Snorlax.
Let me get my glorified pillow. Yes.
It's locked in.
Locked in. Brooke, thank you so much for coming
thank
on
you.
here and joining us. Before we let you go, besides SkillsHub, where else can we find you?
You can find me on X/Twitter, whatever we're calling it this week, under Brook Chalmers VO. I'm also on Blue Sky under Brook Chalmers VO. If you have questions, you can always reach me through my website, which is brookchalmersvo.com. Yeah, I think that's. I'm on Instagram,
Awesome.
but I'm old and don't know how to use it. If I post on Instagram, it may have been a mistake. Hard to say. Or a happy accident. It depends. Yeah. Yeah.
And Karen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes.
Super
lovely
fun.
having
My
you.
first one. Very fun.
Yes.
It felt like it was your 100th.
Yeah. Well, I have been around the block.
There you go.
But we really appreciate you on
Yeah.
Oh,
Brook,
thank you.
and,
No, it's great.
I know people love your coaching and your talent and your generosity. So thank you so much.
I try.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Okay,
thank you
Zelda,
everybody for
see us
tuning
out.
in. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for tuning in, and be sure to tune in for who we have next week. Bye
I
everybody.
hope it's Snoopy.
With Woodstock.
Oh, it's Woodstock.